Rosalie. I'm a technical writer at GDS. I just wanted to talk for kind of 10 minutes at the beginning to just talk about some of the challenges that we're facing as technical writers within GDS. Obviously, I can't speak on behalf of all of you, but there's a reason why we held the event today, and that's really to kind of learn from lots of you. We're writing documentation in an agile environment, and we are facing certain challenges in doing this, and there's also, we're keen to learn about how to make our content more agile, and the tools and processes that we can use to do this. So before talking a bit about the challenges, I just wanted to give you a brief overview of who we are in the GDS tech writing community, and then I'll go into the challenges and kind of what we're hoping to learn a bit more about. So our GDS tech writing community, tech writing didn't used to be a thing at GDS. When I first joined GDS in early 2014, there weren't any tech writers. We had quite a lot of products that had documentation, but no tech writers. I joined as a content designer, and then later became the first tech writer. And that was because government as a platform, which Tricia mentioned, they make reusable components for use across government, so things like Gov.UK Pay, Notify, Verify. The product lead on that programme asked me to do a bit of research into docs to find out what good government documentation looks like. So what a good intro looks like, whether we should be using automation tools like Swagger and Raml. And I started this project mainly looking at API docs, but it taught me a few more basic things. Mainly, my research showed that we weren't meeting the needs of documentation users within government. So I think actually there was at WTDLondon Prague this year, there was someone who was speaking and he showed a slide that said the most qualified person to write documentation is the software engineer. And this was closely followed by another slide that said the least appropriate person to write documentation is the software engineer. And that was where we were going wrong in GDS, was that we were still relying on our developers to write documentation. So it was being left out of date and it wasn't meeting their needs. And this is a slide we started sharing around GDS quite a lot recently. It was a Stack Overflow survey and it showed that the second biggest challenge developers face is poor documentation. It comes like 25% over trying to be nice. So yes, it's obviously a massive challenge, and if we can fix that, we can obviously save a lot of developer time and save costs. So developers shouldn't be writing their own documentation. Their priority is the product, and we should let them focus on that. So we fixed the problems. We've now got 4 tech writers within GDS. We've also noticed there's quite a few new tech writers popping up from elsewhere in government. Noticed them in the Home Office, the MOJ, HMRC, and we're actually recruiting, as Tricia said, for more. So Agile helped us get where we are today. It helped us make things better. These are our Agile principles in the service design manual. Focus on user needs, improving, planning. We couldn't have got where we are now in improving the docs and having a tech writer community if that product lead hadn't been practicing Agile. But Agile is still posing a big challenge for some of us in that the Agile focus is on the product, not on the documentation. So while our tech writers, while the documentation is now the priority, at least for the people writing it, still difficult to get it a priority for the Scrum team. And one of our tech writers, I was talking to her about how she kind of makes it a priority. She was saying, well, you know, being annoyingly relentless and buying them a beer. I'm sure there's other ways around it, but there's also some in an agile in the kind of agile environment that would take things a little bit further and say, actually, the focus should be, the product should speak for itself. So actually, there isn't a need for documentation. We get around that through showing user research, showing users struggling to use docs. And then we can normally swing things around, but sometimes there's still a difficulty in actually translating that user research into a priority that a developer can focus on. And I think there's also difficulty in Agile in that there's in Agile environments, there's a tendency not to document anything that's speculative. So tech writers are generally kind of brought in at the end of the process, at the end of the development process. There's a need in Agile environments just to document concrete concepts. And I think this can be a problem sometimes because it means that you lose some of the critical information that you find out in the early development stages. So how are we getting around this? Well, we're integrating the Scrum teams, and we see this as a must, in that all of our tech writers need to be closely coupled with their Scrum team. So they can find out about upcoming product releases, upcoming features, and so that they can bond with the rest of the development team. But I wouldn't say we've got a one size fits all for doing this. We're working in different ways on different teams. So Ben is our tech writer on the pay and platform as a service product. And he's found the best way to integrate is actually to have his documentation treated like any development story. So he's in Pivotal and Jira. He finds that actually having his work treated as a user story, helps make sure everyone's in agreement on what they need to work on. There's no miscommunication about what needs to be done, and smaller pieces of work are batched together. And then he kind of sends an email around at the end after he's done the work, just alerting people to changes he's done that week. Jen on Registers, she isn't part of the dev cycle. Her team is working on with a Trello board where they track their development, and Jen just kind of watches out for pieces of work that might impact the docs. And Catherine then on Verify and Notify, she's set up a different process altogether where a developer actually makes the changes for the docs for her, and then she reviews the pull request the developer puts through. So we're all integrated in the dev team, but in different ways, and we all share our work between us. When we're checking each other's work, we all make sure that product works as it should for a user. So we actually go into the product. We don't just read the documentation. We actually go into the product and make sure it works like a user should feel it should. I just wanted to bring up the definition of done, because I feel that that's kind of the end goal of integrating with the Scrum teams. Something that Rob from Companies House will talk a bit about later. We haven't actually made documentation part of the definition of done within GDS. There's a slight concern that it might involve too much process in doing so, but it'd be good to hear what Rob has to say about that. And secondly, we have overcome some of these agile challenges in creating standards. So standardization is not always a priority in agile environments. After all, it's kind of getting a user past a particular problem or documenting a particular feature that tends to be the most important consideration. Sometimes we get told to write the minimal amount of docs as possible. But assuring your users takes more than just assumptions. Sorry, I've got a cold. It takes more than just assumptions. So assuring your users that your product is up to date, from a trusted source, and accurate standards can help accomplish that. And that's where we have brought in the user research into, we know from user research that we're targeting developers, we're targeting technical architects, we're talking to a number of different product users, and these users have different needs. So developers will want to go straight to the quick start guide and find some code samples, whereas technical architects will need more information on reliability and security. And we know we've created a template, so we know how to target the different users with information, and we don't want to be arguing the case every time. So helping create a standard in that regard has helped kind of fasten things up in the Agile environment. And we also know what documentation should look like. So we've got a documentation prototype now that we're starting to test within government. This is kind of what we've gathered is the ideal format for developers within government that we're testing at the moment. But mainly we're here today to learn from you, that's why we've put on the event. We're keen to learn more about how we should be making our processes agile. We're also interested in making our content more agile. So how we do versioning, what tools can we use to make updates easier. And as Tricia said, if you really want to help us, you can join us. So please stay tuned. And if you're within government, you can join our Basecamp community. So Jen runs that. If you're interested, Jen's over here. And you can talk to her during break if you want to sign up. Thanks very much. I think it's over to Stella now.